WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I'm in India, the Paul John Single Malt 2018 Christmas Edition. You have the bottle, I have the little sample here. This was actually given to me by the distributor in Germany. Whiskey base number 118810. A total of 3,000 bottles were produced. 720 of those bottles actually made it over here to Germany. I have no idea where the rest of those went. This whiskey actually spent its first 7 years. There's peated and unpeated whiskey. They spent those 7 years in ex-bourbon casks, which is a very long time for India. And then they actually married them together and put them into ex-Orlolozo sherry casks for an 18-month finish. Very, very nice. So, this is the Paul John Brilliance. There's the bold, which is the peated, and there's the edited, which is basically a marriage between the two of these. Now, this would be basically the edited, which unfortunately I do not have. I love this bottle. This bottle is just a beautiful, beautiful thing, in my personal opinion. And so the Brilliance together with the bold makes the edited. So this is basically the edited, plus extra age in the barrels, plus extra 18 months in the sherry casks. So, in Goa, in India, this is produced. As far as I know, you can't buy it in India, which I think is really kind of a shame. It's only sold for the export, or produced for the export market. And this has been on the market now since September 2018. Christmas time, yay! The master distiller for this actually was Michael Dezova. It's a new name I've never heard before for the Paul John Distillery. I'm going to have to take a look a little bit at this. And they use a 6-row grain instead of the normal 4-row grain, which is always a barley. From the Indian whiskey, it actually has a much better taste, but has a lower yield. And they use water from the footholds, from the base of the Himalaya mountains. So that's not something everyone in the world can say. Let's see here. Oh, over here it's 45 euros, which is about $75. This is a unique whiskey. First of all, it's a beautiful, beautiful 7-year-old plus Indian whiskey. Very often, you do not get age statements on Indian whiskey. Amrut, no age statements. My favorite is probably going to be the Porto Nova. I just love this. And the most unique Indian whiskey I've ever had in my glass is the Amrut Norangi. They actually take the orange peels, put it into the whiskey, and let it just mature a little bit. And it's totally like having like an orange flavor there. It's really unique, to say the least. And the problem is, it's just like Texas. It just matures way too fast. And due to the heat, due to the different temperature changes, they normally don't put age statements on there. Yes, Indian whiskey, 3 years old. Nah. People over here in Europe and also in America aren't very keen on that. And so they just put no age statements out. And now that they actually gave the information that this is a 7-year-old whiskey, finished for a further 18 months, is very, very special. So whiskey, rare and exotic whiskey. And so also the fact that it's a mixture of the normal unpeated as well as the peated plus this sherry really gives it a very, very nice aroma. I'm getting, I don't know if you are very familiar with the Paul John or not, I'm getting this very typical, very earthy tones, very, very dark chocolate, a dark milk chocolate together with a little bit of a fruitiness involved. Let's call it a little bit of raspberry, a little bit of the plum, a little bit of the dates are in there, and then together with just a little whisper, just tiny little bit of smoke. I've seen cocktails before where they actually make the cocktail. The guy actually puffs on a cigar and then he blows the smoke into the cocktail, puts a lid on top of it, and let it sit for 30 or 60 seconds. That's the amount of smoke that's in here. The peatedness is actually more than, for me, bearable. So, very, very nice, very, very just enjoyable nose, actually. The one thing I don't get at the very beginning is ho, 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 Christmas time. I would say this is a very nice, deep, dark whiskey that had some type of sherry influence. But my first thought does not wander off to Christmas. I'm missing some of those gingerbread notes that I would expect. Let's try it. Mm. 46%, no color added, non-chilled filtered, very good. Only towards the end there's that little bit of whiff of that smoke. What I don't get at the very, very beginning is that sherry influence. It's not a sherry bomb. The sherry is actually secondary. So primary is this wonderful, wonderful 7-year-old Indian whiskey. Dark, earthy. Then there's a moment of fruitiness in the middle. As I mentioned, those plums, those raspberries, those dates just come all together and create a nice little fruity moment. And then there's just a whiff, a little bit of a tail of that smokiness, of the peatiness that just is there, but really, really doesn't distract from this. Going over to the normal Paul John Brilliance as a comparison, which I do a lot in my German videos, but I don't do it very often in my English videos. I actually like this very much. I did this with my friends. We had every once a month I have a whiskey tasting in my home with between 6 and 12 people that come. And this actually, we had 6 whiskeys in the last whiskey tasting, and this was number 2. Everyone liked this the second best, or most people liked this second best, to be honest. The first best was like 18-year-old, blah, blah, blah. Kind of hard to beat, to be honest. This was very, very nice, and it's very, it still has that earth darky tones with a little bit of the sweetness in there, with a little bit of the barley forward in there, but not with any type of white pepperness. The 46 is just wonderfully done. This, for me, is actually a B whiskey. This over here, and I'm going to do the experiment that I actually did also in my German video, is I'm going to dilute it down to about 40%. And I'm doing this because actually I think that this whiskey is a much better whiskey at a lower ABV. Now they want and they need to sell this at 46% so that they can say it's non-chilled filtered and it doesn't turn cloudy when it gets cold. Very, very important. Christmas season, right? But yet, to be very, very honest, in my personal opinion, this is actually best enjoyed at around 40%. Because what I get is I get this orange peel creaminess that just shoots up. The peatiness just fades away a little bit more, and it turns into a creamy orange type of clove moment, which is the Christmas season. And so I really, really like this. It's so much more like Christmas at a lower ABV. So if you ever get your hands on a Paul John Christmas edition 2018, the first year they actually released a Christmas edition from Paul John, maybe they just had a couple 10 barrels of sherry laying around. What are we going to do with this? I don't really know. Is it enough for a special edition? Well, not really. What are we going to do? Well, let's call it a special Christmas edition. And we solved all the problem. 3,000 bottles, 10 different Oloroso sherry casks, roundabout. It might have been 8. It might have been also 9. Who knows? And we just gave it to the different places in the world. Germany and UK and whatever else it was released. And this is a very, very fine whiskey for the 56, 58 euros, for the $70 for that. Fine, fine, fine whiskey. It's actually going to get a B+ in my book. Value for money, a solid C+. So something I recommend is something I would say, if you can find it, please try it. It's worthwhile. WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I was in India with the Paul John Christmas edition 2018. Please like, please subscribe, please share, and please tell others about this crazy American over here in Germany tasting things you might never see and might never get your hands on. World whiskeys, bourbons, Scotch whiskeys, Irish whiskeys, German whiskeys, European whiskeys, and world whiskeys included. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye-bye.